What's up troops, it's me TheTacticalBrit and we're back again with Tactical Tuesday, and it's nice to be back doing this when the TTK has been fixed. Finally we are back to a normal battlefield that makes sense, but that's not the subject of today's video. The subject of today's video is destruction in Battlefield 5. Now, destruction is something that we've come to really anticipate as sort of a core pillar to what Battlefield has always really been about. But I've noticed a lot recently in Battlefield 5 that people simply aren't utilizing it enough to the fullest extent in combat situations, especially pertaining to infantry, and not really thinking about the layers of which you can use destruction in and how many different scenarios it actually can be useful. And I'm not just talking about, destroying a building and making everybody inside die, because, that's basic, that's very fundamental. I'm talking about ways in which destruction can be used more methodically, and that's exactly what we're going to go through today. So, to start off with, the very basic way of using destruction is as follows. Blow up everything, and all things basically, until everything is gone, and everything inside is dead, and of course using things like rubble in order to take out opponents. But there is a layer to this as well that I think a lot of people miss out on, and this is verticality in bases of destruction. Like, a lot of people just tend to sort of slap an RPG or something into a wall or some C4 or something, or, the World War II equivalents like Panzerfaust and TNT, but never actually consider using it up or down. Like, you can actually completely destroy the floors and walls around you to the extent that you can kill somebody below you very easily by TNTing the floor and wall around you. And I think that kind of verticality in terms of destruction has been completely forgotten about. It's a very surefire way of taking out opponents that are above or below you. But moving on, let's talk about ways in which destruction can be significantly more advantageous. And I'm not just talking about, blowing everything to high heaven. I'm talking about ways in which you can use destruction in a methodical manner that will actually benefit you as an infantryman. And there's plenty of examples of this that I'd like to use. And the first one I'd like to show you is simply giving yourself extra sightlines. And a lot of people don't really tend to do this, and I think it's why a lot of people avoid the third stories and second stories of buildings. But a very simple way of, just getting a clear sightline on places you want to be is by throwing, something along the lines of a TNT down, maybe a Panzerfaust shot, and just blowing a corner of the room away. And this is a very effective method. I really don't recommend using an AT mine though, because that does, just far too much damage and probably will take out the entire building. But the actual, explosion itself will punch a small hole out of a wall or, general rooftop. And because of that, it doesn't expose you entirely to everywhere around you, but it gives you the direction, sightlines on the places that you actually want to look at. The bonus of this, of course, being the fact that the rest of the building should remain relatively intact, and because of that, not only will this allow you to use that sightline effectively with more significant cover around you, but it also gives you opportunities for traversal as well. I sometimes pop little holes in rooftops so I can jump onto another rooftop without enemies noticing, and with the new updated features in terms of things like grappling onto sides and being able to do pull-ups and stuff that have actually been updated to be improved recently, so they are more effective, you really have the ability here to use this in ways that I don't think a lot of people have considered before. The next thing for destruction is really just a smoke screen. I think a lot of people miss this out. A big explosion may not necessarily always be something that you need to look at for killing enemies. A big explosion can be something very simple that you use to get enemies to distracted or get them in a position where they're confused as to what's going on. And whether you see an enemy lining you up at a window or you see an enemy at a door frame or something who's about to shoot at you, you don't necessarily need to aim for the dude. You can aim for the actual wall next to him, blow that to smithereens, and really confuse the person who was trying to shoot you in the first place. I tend to use things like blowing up walls and ceilings to really try and distract players from distance. One good example I like to use frequently is when I notice there's a sniper a very fair distance away, a kind of distance that where he'd probably have the lock on me and probably have an advantage, I tend to fire Panzerfausts at their windows to take out the actual wall, because they then inevitably get scared. They think there's more firepower coming their way than there actually is. They may not necessarily be able to tell that it's a Panzerfaust that's hit their building, they might think it's a tank, and it gives you that ability to close distances. The final thing I like to do, and this is something I think is incredibly important that a lot of people miss out on, is actually using destruction for lighting. Lighting in Battlefield 5 is very important because, the amount of ability for players to blend into meshes and backgrounds behind them means that shadows are your worst enemy. And you'll find sometimes when you're fighting people in fields or certain houses or something, that the shadows in that room, if you're outside, make it very difficult to see people on the inside. And I tend to blow up ceilings and walls really just to let light into that building and make it easier to see that player inside and get a better drop on him. So troops, that's about it for this video today. That's my tips on destruction. Let me know what you want to talk about in the comment section below. Is there a topic you want me to cover on Tactical Tuesday? As always folks, thank you for watching. It's been me, the Tactical Brit, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.